Hey there, it's Mark from Men Who Will It. Thanks for hanging out with me today, where we're going to create 3 fun fonts that you can use inside of your bullet journal, planner, or inside of your study notes. Whatever you want to use, these are really quick and easy ways to add a little bit of flair to your pages, having some fun with basically zero skill needed. That's why I'm able to do it. All you're going to need for today's video is going to be a pen. I'm going to be using one of these Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens. Love these guys, but you can use a regular ink pen if you want. You can use a pencil, whatever you have laying around your desk. If you want to add a little extra flair to these, what I recommend is have a different color pen, marker. I'm even going to use some watercolor today, and I'm going to show you how to take these to the next level as well. So it's basically a 2-part video. Part 1, how to do these 3 easy fonts. Part 2, how to spice them up just a little bit. Let's get started. All right, let's have some fun. For today's video, I'm going to be using my Square Leuchtturm 1917 sketchbook that I have. This is a blank sketchbook. Super awesome. Plenty of space to have some fun. For my pen, I'm going to be using Faber-Castell's Pitt Artist pen. Got our S over here, comes in so many different sizes. That's a nice fine tip one, but not too fine. If you don't have the Faber-Castell or a fine liner, any pen will work for today, or pencil. All you really need is a sheet of paper and some type of a writing utensil is all we're going to need. After I'm done doing all the letters, I am going to come back and show you how to add just a little bit of fun. So I actually have some really beautiful watercolor. These are from Peppercorn Arts. I love her handmade watercolors. So we're going to be using some of this gold, which is just glorious, and then some of these metallics from the Mercury to Saturn collection that she has. If you don't have watercolor, you could also use a highlighter or a different color marker if you want to add a little fun visual color pop to your pages. So the first font that we're going to look at today is one, I call it the circle dot font because that's what's inside of your letters. So we're going to draw the entire alphabet on here. So let's go ahead and start with the A. So the way that I do this circle dot font, I don't, again, have a name for it, is I draw out the A, and then in the middle where that line connects across, I draw an open circle. And this open circle is something that you're going to see throughout this entire font. We draw it a lot of the times over on this line for a lot of those letters, right there in the middle. And then for curved letters like a C, I put it there in the center. And then for any letter that has the little legs to it, like for instance, let's do our E here. I'll draw those top 2 lines, and then I start to put the smaller lines come out of that circle as well. So it gives a little bit of a form and a function as well. It's like, oh, it's kind of like this little connector. The same thing can be used for your F. Little line out from there if you want. Our G, I'm also going to put that on the outside line here. So similar to what we've done for some of these other letters as well. The H I treat similar to the A, where I put it on that connector line here. The I is super simple because it's just right in the center, like so many of these other lines. The J is kind of in the same spot, just because it's faced that way. It looks a little bit different. And then for our K, we'll do the same thing. And what I like to do is actually put the lines of the K coming out of that circle. Looks super neat. Our L will look like that. And then for the M, I love this. It just kind of connects down. And then the N, why I do this, I'm not really quite sure, but I like to draw that coming out of this kind of line there. It's kind of right there in the middle. You could also draw it over here if you wanted to. I just like to find kind of that middle point to add it to my letters. And then O's, similar to the C, I like to just connect out here on that side. And our P connects in there. Now Q, this is fun. I'm going to draw the circle kind of over here because I want the diagonal for the Q to come through there. Just makes it look a little bit different. Our R will connect in there. We'll put our S kind of midway through. T will look like so many of our other letters. Okay, U, we'll switch it up and put it over here. V, we will do the same thing. W is just a upside down M. So we'll do similar to what we did here. X, I like to do the same, like connect in the middle, which I think looks super fun. And then our Y will connect in the middle. And then Z is fun. It's a little odd. It always takes me a second for the Z because I try to treat it like an S, but it meets us right there in the middle of that diagonal. I always like to double check, make sure I have my alphabet all correct. And I do, so I'm very proud of myself. So this is the first one. So we need a name for this. So you can drop a comment now or wait till the end of all of our 3 different ones to do, and we'll name these. So the next one is one that I've actually been using for a really long time, and I really love this one. It's another print font. Most of my fonts are just print because I find it to be very easy, just because I don't excel at cursive or calligraphy. So a lot of these are what I use inside of my bullet journal. So this next one is super fun because a lot of it is just drawing a regular print letter like you would. But what we do is we leave a little bit of space over on the left-hand side, which opens it up. So it starts to make it look like a cooler letter. And then as we're going through these, what you can do are a few different things. And I'll show you a few different variants of this after we fill this in. So let's go ahead and do our full alphabet. For the C's or anything with a curve, you can just put a line down through on the inside. J's look a little bit different because of the hook here at the bottom. So I usually just draw that line on the inside. Then the S, what I like to do is draw the S, and then I'll draw 2 verticals here. The X is kind of fun, so I do that rectangle on a diagonal, and I'll just do a straight line on the other side of the X. Y turns itself around. Why, I don't know, but I do the extra line over here on the right-hand side instead. And then Z, again, is always a fun one. We'll do the diagonal rectangle facing the other way and do the Z there for that. Now there's a few different things that you can do with this letter if you want. And this is actually even without watercolor. I'm just going to draw it bigger over here on this side. So let's say we're doing the letter A. And I'm going to draw 2 of these. So there's 2 different ways that I've done this. One thing I really love, the way it looks, is right where you have your connector here, and probably most all the way like across the center of your page, is to just draw a line and then just fill in that letter. And it kind of starts to have like that cool like tattoo kind of font. Because if you want, even, totally up to you, you could easily add like some serifs to those letters to make it look fun. The other thing I like to do is actually draw in diagonals. And what's fun about this, and when we add in some of the color later on, you can add the color right behind the diagonals. You could color this in with a color, or make this black and then put your color up top there, which is super cool. So we don't have a name for this font as well, so we'll be looking for that. Now this next one is more of like a bubble font, and this is super fun. I love doing this one. I've been doing it more and more because after we're done, we actually kind of like create like a drop shadow on these. So as we're drawing out our letters, let's draw them a little bit further apart than we've done a lot of these, because what we're going to do is add kind of an outline to the right-hand side of them as we create. So let me show you. With this one, if you want, and I've done this before too, feel free to use pencil first. Some of the letters look a little nutty, but that's just because that's what happens when you freehand. So after you have your letters out here, we're gonna just add a little bubble to the right of all the letters. So watch how I'll do this. We'll just take out the A, just right over there to the side. Follow that outline of the side of these just a little bit. All right, so we've gone through, added that. These are all gonna look different depending on how you wanna do it. Sometimes you can take this in a little bit more on those C's, make it a little bit more defined. but we're just having fun here. So you can see this font already looks super cool just as it is. Again, no name to it, bubble font, I don't know, call it something else. But similar to what we did with this one up here, the way we color this in or the way we do something different with it can be completely up to you, because we can do something like the letter A, for instance. We'll do two versions. We'll do one with color. I'll come back in with the watercolor and add that in. But the other one you can do similarly to what we did with this one up here, right? We can take that out, and if we want, add some quick lines to it. Make it look like a rock if you want to. Or you go opposite and you can add some circles. Some stippling in, give some texture to the top while leaving the bottom like that. All super cool. But now if you want, you can go about this in a lot of different ways. And for me, like I said, I'm going to use some watercolor. One of my favorite things for this top one here with the small dots, did you notice how I went very small and my letters got much bigger as I went along? I'm so used to working inside of dot grid notebooks that my handwriting in a sketchbook it's nutty. But I love this gold. It's like super awesome. And what I'll do with it is I'm just gonna touch inside of each one of these circles. And what it reminds me of is kind of like a ring or a piece of jewelry that has like that one little circle gem in it. Now, as I mentioned over here, there's a lot of different patterns and things that you can do. So if you wanted to, you could come over top of this and just paint real quick over top of either one of these and add a little bit of fun dimension to it, right? Love the way that looks. The other way you could work with this if you want, and this is like a favorite way of mine, is just to come in real quick with color. And you'll let that dry for a second. And we're really gonna let that dry for a minute. We'll do the bottom ones and then we'll come back up here to the top. And like I mentioned down here, there's a lot of different ways that you could go about doing this. The way I like to do it is I like to fill in the bottom part here with some color. But if you wanted to, you could totally fill in the top part of it. And then you still have some of that extra fun dimension to your page there. So I'm gonna come quickly with all of the color just on the outside of these little drop shadows. All right, I just did all of this and I realized that I never showed you what it could look like if you did like a brush pen or like a different pen instead. I know you get the idea, you're smart, but I still like to just show just in case, you know? Sometimes I don't want you to feel left out and maybe you're not sure and you want me to show you, I'm gonna show you. So if you don't have watercolor, maybe you just have brush pens or crayons or any other type of marker at home, you're just doing the same exact thing. You can either color it straight in with your brush pen, or if you wanted, you could even create some of those cool patterns in there as well. All right, now that our watercolor is dry, what I like to do personally whenever I fill in these colors is I just like to put on the marker after I do the watercolor. I think that it just makes it look a little bit more vibrant, but that's just me personally. And as a lefty, you can also see why we really make sure everything's dry before we start going over top of it. So not a big deal. But here we go. We've got 3 different fonts that we went over today, and I need you to help me name them. So we've got font number 1, font number 2, font number 3. Let me know in the comments below what you think they should be named. And don't forget, if you would like to get a free downloadable of these, in the descriptions, you'll find a link there below. Thanks so much for doing this along with me today. Hopefully you found some new fonts that you absolutely love. If you'd like to get the full alphabet and kind of visual for everything that we did today, you can actually download that in the descriptions below. It's a downloadable freebie for you from me to you. And that way you can continue to practice these and come up with cool alternatives to what we did in today's video. So make sure that you check that out. If you like this bullet journal idea, right at the end of this video, in about a second, I'm going to put up a playlist for you that has a bunch of other really fun creative ideas that you can use inside of your bullet journal. So make sure that you check that out. I'd love to hear what you think. Make sure to drop a comment below. I'll talk with you very soon. See ya. Check these out.